Okay, and welcome. Finally, it's episode 4 of Home from Home. I'm Brian Craig. This time we are around the corner from Delaney's Irish Pub in Kowloon in Hong Kong, and I am delighted to be joined by Mark Fisher all the way from Bangor, County Down. How's it going, Mark?
That's right. Not too bad. Good to be here.
We're kind of double dipping a bit today because you're recording this as well, and we'll get into that a wee bit afterwards. So it's going to be a podcast on, and it's going to be on your channel as well.
That's right, folks. Yes, if you want to watch this one's going to be videoed, and it's going to be on my channel. Shall I give myself a mention? The channel?
Go for it. We'll come back. We'll definitely come back to it. Go for it. Yeah.
Oh yes, it's Northern Ireland Nomad. So if you can work that out, it's for Northern Ireland Nomad, but as we said, Northern Ireland.
So we met online. We don't know each other back home. I was kind of looking for people to interview in Hong Kong, and I've ended up meeting someone who lives in the same city as me in China, actually. But here we are in Hong Kong anyway.
That's right.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, how you ended up in Shenzhen. What was the journey that took you there?
So I'm not a teacher by trade. I've worked in other industries before this, which I can go into more detail later if you like. But how I ended up teaching, I basically wanted to come to Asia and teach. From 2018, that's when I studied my TEFL. I was a little bit bored of what I was doing back then, so I did the TEFL. And obviously, 2020, we all know what happened. So that was obviously, that put a stop to my plan.
Yeah.
So I did a little bit of teaching in Thailand. So I worked in Thailand. I taught in a secondary school. And I travelled in Mexico, Latin America during 2020, 2021. So I was away. But, the original plan was to go to China. So whenever the borders opened and all the restrictions were gone, I finally made it to China. I worked in an education centre. So I worked in a training centre. And actually, whenever I went there, I was told to meet up with a guy who's also from Northern Ireland, also from Belfast.
Yeah.
And we had mutual friends, so we knew people who knew people. We hadn't actually met each other before. And it turns out he worked in the same training centre that I worked at, and we're working in the same school together.
So it's mad how often that stuff happens. It's crazy. Yeah, you come to the other side of the world and then you're working with someone that you already knew, or you're from the same place as work. So it's not.
Yes. So I worked at a training centre for a year. Parts of my experience were good. It taught me how to be a teacher.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I didn't come from a teaching background, so this was my learning experience. But I didn't want to work there for more than a year. Maybe I can do a separate video on pros and cons of EF, but I haven't done that one yet. But
Which school are it?
EF Yingfu.
Oh, yeah.
English First.
Yes.
So
are they still around, English First?
Still are, yes.
Okay. Different
ownership, different management. I think they're no longer called English First, they're called Yingfu.
Oh, right, okay.
But yeah, it's a topic for a separate video. Good place to, learn the ropes, so to speak. But, you don't have weekends off, you don't have much freedom, like you only get 10 days annual leave per year.
Yeah.
So it's not a very good place to work, and salary's not the best. So after a year, I managed to get a job in a bilingual school. So it's Yifutian. It's a bilingual school, so you're teaching mostly Chinese, but there are some international students. So it's a bit of a step up in terms of your career, your teaching career, salary.
Yep.
And still quite hectic. And, there's a lot of work. I don't come from a teaching background, so I don't know what to compare it to.
Yeah.
But in my 20 years of working, I've worked in sales, I've worked in different jobs, but this is the hardest I've worked.
Oh, wow.
It's the most stressful I've felt. So I don't know if that's just being a teacher in general, or if it's the environments I've worked in.
Do the holidays make up for it? Does it balance out, do you think? Or?
Yes. Well, in the training centre, we just got 10 days, but now I've got school holidays, so it's 6 weeks in the summer, 3 weeks spring holiday, plus your other sort of mini festivals, October Passion Day. So it's pretty good. But I have decided that I want to be a teacher at least for the next few years.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the rest of my career because I don't know. But so I'm studying for PGC. to sort of be able to increase my options
Sure.
in the teaching world. So that's about how I came to be a teacher.
But why, you mentioned you had originally planned to come to China. What was it about China that was attractive for you initially?
I mean, aside from the low cost of living and the low cost of living and the salary, because I looked at all the other countries, I guess it was just intrigue, because, interesting fact, up until 2002, the second most widely spoken language in Northern Ireland. Can you guess what it was?
It's not Mandarin, is it?
It was up until 2002.
Okay.
So around 2002, whenever Lithuania, Poland, and the European countries joined the EU, then it was replaced. But up until mid-2000s...
That's mad.
Mid-2000s, the second most popular language.
That is a good fact. That's a good fact.
And growing up in the 80s in Bangor, we had a Chinese family beside us.
Yeah.
And, every town, village and hamlet in Ireland has a Chinese takeaway.
Of course.
So, although it's not a direct influence, it's actually very close to us.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of Chinese. And it's all about it.
Yeah, for sure. No, yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, Dublin, there's a lot of Chinese students. A lot of people then end up staying there for work. And there's families that are, here for generations, like at this point, really. And
yeah,
interesting. What was your experience in Thailand? You were there for a bit.
I mean, that's probably the country I've been to the most as a tourist. And it was my first time outside of Europe in 2007. Spent a month in Thailand. So that's when I decided that I wanted to go abroad, or I guess I gained a taste of life outside of Europe and life as a nomad, or life outside of the normal holidays. Because up until that point, I'd been to Benidorm, Spain, Magaluf, all these Spanish places, but I hadn't really sampled life, outside of Europe or in proper traveling setting. So Thailand, I've been to maybe 8 times altogether. So when I lived there, I moved there actually at the end of the pandemic. So probably wasn't a very good time to go to Thailand, and because I had to quarantine for 2 weeks. I worked in a school. We were actually told that we didn't have to go to the school. So the school was in Pathum Thani, which is a province beside Bangkok.
Okay.
So it's kind of rural. Like, our school was situated beside the rice fields. So like, you look out of the school window and there's farmers, harvesting the rice and stuff. So it's proper rural.
Yeah.
But we lived on the outskirts of Bangkok. So we the weekends we went into the centre. During the week we caught 2 minibuses to work, and lived in the countryside.
It's pretty nice. It's sort of best of both worlds in a way, right?
Yeah. But during the pandemic, I mean, we actually got told at the beginning that you could work online. So I took myself off to Koh Phangan for 6 months. So actually, I worked from my laptop for half of the contract. I worked from my laptop. I got a beach bungalow in Koh Phangan.
Yes.
Paid about, I forget what it was about, but it was like £100 one equivalent. Very cheap. There was no tourists.
Awesome.
And so I taught my students from my laptop beside the water.
Not too bad. Yeah, some people did end up in those situations. Like, it's funny, COVID was crap for a lot of people, right? A lot of people got stuck places, or they got separated from partners or whatever. But I'd say some people, it worked out like not that bad. You know what I mean? They were somewhere beautiful, working remotely. Like, it's like, which you don't want. You would prefer to probably be in school and everything be open and normal, but it's not the worst as a consolation prize, is it?
Yeah, sometimes I'd have a little monkey come down, climb from the roof. I'd be teaching, and then the students would say, "What's that behind you?" It's just a monkey. It's just,
that's my, just for engagement, just to make the class a bit more interesting. I've introduced a monkey. Nice. Listen, you mentioned the YouTube channel already and the Northern Ireland part. Tell us about that. When did you start it? What was the thinking behind it? I know you've got a lot of fairly varied content on there, but like, what's your sort of intention behind it?
I uploaded my first video to YouTube well over 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
It was actually a picture. It was a video of a Thai singer singing an Irish song, That's my very first video, but I had no intention of being a YouTuber back then. I was just a random, video in a bar in Tunmai. So my very first upload. Then I think there was a gap of like 9 years. So I didn't upload anything. So technically that's my first video. But my first upload was then when I was living in Kopangan. I did a video of a hike where we hiked with a stereo, beatbox, YouTube, or what do you call it, beatbox?
Beatbox, yeah.
Bluetooth.
Oh, Bluetooth.
Bluetooth
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beatbox, and we made a musical hike. So we hiked up a mountain, listening to music.
Nice.
And I guess from there I just started vlogging different activities. And actually, 20 years prior, I had a camcorder, which I recorded on an illegal rave in Tyrella Beach in County Down.
Nice.
I recorded the 12th of July parades, so I've got through those too. And just different aspects of my life that things I enjoy doing.
Yeah.
Music, Northern Ireland when we played England in 2004 at Royal Trafford, so some football things. So that's actually from 20 years ago, which I recorded on tape and then forgot about.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that counts as my first upload.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I guess so. Is some of that on YouTube? It is. Okay.
Yeah, so you can watch us actually in Tyrella Beach in 2004, I think it was, and some of my friends organised an illegal party.
There's a few people probably don't want to be recognised in that video, probably.
Yeah, maybe.
don't let that get to work. But yeah, okay, interesting. So it's been something you've been doing long term, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess recently I've taken a focus on Irish figures in the British Empire.
Yeah.
Which there are a lot of. And right here in Hong Kong, and we're sitting just off Nathan Road, and he was the governor of Ireland during our second lieutenant, whatever the title was, of Ireland during the East Uprising. So like, even in Hong Kong here, there's a lot of Irish influence, and I've actually got a video on that.
Yes.
About the Irish connections, and we were talking about Robert Hart.
Yes.
The guy from Portadown, who was the leader of the Imperial Chinese Customs Service.
I agree.
So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff about Irish people, Irish abroad, Irish connections, and then there's some rave videos. So like,
eclectic. It's eclectic.
Yeah, I'm into heavy hardcore and hard dance music as well. So that, I guess at the beginning I did some videos about that, but I'm kind of not doing that anymore. Like, I'm going to focus on the Irish British history.
Okay.
Aspect of it.
Yeah, I guess that it was your Irish in Hong Kong influences that I sort of first spotted. I think you'd posted it somewhere on one of the groups on
Irish
Facebook. I think so. I think that's probably how I first came across you. Yeah, it's funny. We're not in the bar because it was too loud and there was music, and it was nice and quiet when we came in here. Now it's getting increasingly louder. They've just moved a bunch of furniture, but they've left your camera. I was just watching them out of the corner of my eye. Don't be taking that away,
Yeah.
But yeah, we're obviously you're in your Northern Ireland shirt today. I'm in my Donegal shirt today. We're both from Ulster.
Both Ulster men. That's right.
Both Ulster men. Other than that, our identity, we might say our identity a little bit differently, possibly. What would you say your identity is? Where you're from?
I mean, I'm happy to, wear all three identities. Like, I'm from the island of Ireland, so I'm Irish, but in a British context. I have a British passport. I live in the UK, like all those sort of things. But I'm also Northern Irish. Like, that's, specific. The Northern Irish, I think, are different to the rest of Ireland. Where we have a different education system. We've had a different state for 104 years, is it? Or 21 was the so like, yeah. I think there's definitely a difference, but there's also there's a shared island, and so I'm happily identifiable as all three, because whenever I first went to England, that was my awakening that the English call us all Irish. Doesn't matter if you're Protestant. And my nickname at first was Irish Mark, but I told them I'm not Irish, I'm British. So then they changed and they called me the Ulster man.
Yeah.
So at the beginning, I wouldn't have consider myself Irish 20 years ago because I come from a background where that's not
Yeah.
the case.
Yeah.
However, as I've got older, I've more embraced my Irish identity or something. So got an Irish passport 10 years ago as I wanted to go to Canada, and I looked at the visa and visa regulations. British citizens, you had to be 31 under, and at the time I was 10 years ago I was coaching 42. So that would be giving my age away, but inadvertently.
Getting their calculators out.
So I looked up Irish passport, and obviously because of the Good Friday Agreement, everyone in Northern Ireland can get both passports. So got my Irish passport. In the end, I didn't go to Canada, so it actually wasn't used at the time for that reason. But then fast forward to Brexit, and I guess a lot of people started getting their Irish passport. So I do have an Irish passport as well as a British one. So yeah, identity in Northern Ireland can be quite polarised, but I think a lot of people, even, to quote a late politician, even people like Ian Paisley, he saw himself as Irish too. So I feel people from Ireland are Irish as well. Protestants, Catholics, so. Yeah, I guess it can be a controversial topic, but no, I'm happy we spread. But I know that the minute we go outside of that environment to English, we're all Irish.
Yeah. Is it hard? Do you find it hard to explain to people? I mean, God, it must be hard to explain to people in China.
I explain to them, and most people that know me will know the difference. But I've had English people that they thought all of Ireland was still in the UK.
Yeah.
I've had English people. I was on a flight from England years ago going to Belfast.
Yeah, right.
And there was a guy going to Belfast, and he was sitting beside me, and he said, "Oh, just down my money changed to euros." And I was like, "Are you going down south? Are you going to the Republic?" "Well, I'm going to Belfast." And
oh no! Oh my God! Well, he deserves it.
And I was like, "You do know we use euro, or we use sterling, we use pounds?" And he's like, "No, really? I thought it was Ireland. I thought it was like, no."
Yeah.
So there's people in England that don't know the difference. They think all of Ireland is the same, or it's all part of UK, or it's all independent.
Yeah.
So explaining to people over here, they haven't even heard of Ireland.
Sure.
So if I say, what was she Ireland red, or was she by Ireland red? Yeah? What's that?
Yeah.
Oh, you can go there. Okay, you know where that is. So in China, I just go with you can go because I'm British, from the UK. That's
easier to explain. Yeah, no, I say Irish, and they instantly say English, and then the Bay Ireland thing comes in Northern Ireland, and I find myself having to explain, our history about 5 million times every time I tell someone where I'm from. But you're right, that's a tiny country, the other side of the world. They don't know anything about it.
I mean, you probably have a harder time because you're not British, and you're not from Northern Ireland. Although you're from the north of Ireland.
Yeah.
You're from
that totally confuses people. Oh, you're from Northern Ireland? I'm not from Northern. I mean, I'm from more north than most of Northern Ireland, but I'm not from. What? What are you talking? Never mind. I'm Irish.
I know. That's it. Like in Ireland, the most northerly point is in the south, isn't it?
Exactly. Only in Ireland. Only in Ireland could that happen. But yeah. So of course, you identify as British, with Irish and Ulster.
And Ulster, I'm an Ulster man.
Yeah.
I'm from the province of Ireland, or province of Ulster in Ireland. So yeah, I'm happy with all.
I don't know. It's weird. I didn't know that when you said it a couple of times. We did meet each other online, but we've been hanging out a bit. The last few weeks going to football and whatnot. And when you mentioned Ulster thing, I would never have thought to identify as an Ulsterman or being from Ulster as part of my identity, but I am. It's weird. I don't know why. Maybe it's just the three counties. It's maybe less of a strong feeling or something. If you're not in the six that are in Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just never crossed my mind. I don't know if that's just me or if it's other Donegal people would say that. It just wouldn't cross my mind.
I don't know.
But I'm going to consider it now. It's another facet of my identity. What do people think in Ireland think about you being over here? How do people react to your videos? You know, the ones that I've seen, you know, when you're going to, I think you're in Guangzhou or like for close Guangzhou and finding out these different figures and influence of the British Empire. How do people react to all of that?
People back home? I've got some positive feedback from those people that are also into that, the British history. And yeah, I've had comments, people saying, I didn't know that, you know, because I'm finding out things that you wouldn't really be taught about in school, for example. Like, I had no idea about the Irish involvement in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And then obviously being from a unionist background, we celebrate our British events, and that's part of our heritage, it's part of who we are. So I guess that goes hand in hand with, you know, the empire and these figures from Ireland, both parts of Ireland, that travelled in it. You know, first governor of Hong Kong was an Irishman, as from Belfast. Many governors. So I think it does resonate with people back home, these videos.
Yeah.
And I mean, I make it more because it's a topic I'm interested in. And if someone wants to watch it, it's up to them. They can watch it. I'm not making it to be popular. I'm not making it to be like one from YouTube.
Yes.
You know, it doesn't make any money at all, really. It makes enough to buy a few rounds in the pub, and that's about it. You know, but it's more of an interest, like to something I'm interested in. You know, in East Belfast, and the heritage is obviously about the shipyard and the rope works and how it was Belfast's industrial past. But it's all dependent on the British Empire. You know, all of those things. So it is part of the Unionist identity, I think.
I guess as well, like the ones that I've watched of yours, like it's clear, like you do your research and, you know, you're finding out, you know, probably things that you didn't know so much about before. And then it's taking you to these different places that probably we wouldn't go otherwise, right? Like, so it's a kind of a cool experience. It's a good pastime, if anything. And then sort of whatever else happens after that is a bonus, surely, right?
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, I have been helped by ChatGPT. It does wonders. You just put in what you want to find out, and it will give you, like, do all the research. So I think from a research point of view, things are a lot easier. Because, you know, I did do a master's in politics and media, so I have a bit of background in research. But, you know, 20 years ago, you had to go to a library to look up things, you had to do your research. You know, for me to research a video about British figures in Hong Kong and Irish figures like one, it would take you a lot of time. But now I can type it in on a phone. Yeah. Brings up all the information. So, you know, I can do my research here. I do my research on this bar. So
it's handy.
Yeah. So,
like the stuff. I mean, how? Like, so I'm trying to think specifically of the one I watched sort of first, and you had spotted like a church and everything like that. It was somewhere. It was on an island, I think, near Guangzhou.
Samian Island.
Okay. Yes. And like, how easy was it to find out information about stuff like that? Because a lot of it, there's no physical record anymore. Like, it doesn't look like there are placards or.
There actually are. I mean, Samian Island, it's an example of one of the 5 treaty ports. So after the victory, British victory, the first one, I think, 1842, and the British established 5 ports. Fuzhou, Guangzhou, which was Canton. I'm testing my knowledge here. Xiamen, which was Amoy before. And there was 2 others, Shanghai and... did I say 5? Anyway,
so let's call it 4.
Anyway, so the 5 treaty ports. So basically, you know, that area was a place for British and French to do business. All international people on the island. But we were saying about how do you find out about it? Well, actually, in Xiamen, there's little plaques.
Okay.
Shows you the history. So, they didn't get rid of the history. And so you can look at the plaque and see what it was. So this was a British bank or something.
Is there a bit of sensitivity about that? Because, I mean, it is it's not probably how can I phrase this? It's maybe not a part of Chinese history that was like celebrated, or that they'd be particularly proud or sort of happy about, that there was all this foreign influence? Do you ever come across like sensitivity about that? No?
I went to the Opium War Museum in Human, which was interesting as well, because that's where they burned the opium whenever that's a separate video about, separate video in itself about how Hong Kong came about, importing opium to balance the trade deficit. So in Human, they burnt all the opium as a resistance or whatever.
Yeah.
So the Opium War Museum, whenever I went there was a statue, was the anti-British statue. I think that was the most anti-British thing there was.
Okay.
There was actually a lot of history about the British involvement, and the first overseas envoy to Britain was actually from Ireland as well. So George McCartney from Loch Eyes How Down. Well, I found out a lot of things by random, by chance. When I was going to the Opium War Museum just out of interest, something to do on a day off, I actually found out her information. So it is available in the museums that they have. But as you're saying, it wasn't a proud time for the Chinese embassy. It was century humiliation. So there was a lot of sessions given, and obviously where we're sitting right now is one of those sections, which was a British territory for 150 years. Those things may be politically sensitive, but I've had no issue when I've been making videos. I don't think people know what I'm doing.
Yeah. I did notice that as well. I mean, you're kind of like, you're a foreigner walking through with your camera, and people just seem to kind of, that's fine. He's doing what he's doing. Quite people just sort of,
I'm documenting history, or marking history, I guess. And you find out connections that you wouldn't have otherwise known. Because in East Belfast, there's a Palmerston Road. In Dublin, there's Palmer's Town. But that's connected to Palmerston. He was the Prime Minister of Britain, but he was an Anglo-Irish. So he was held land in Ireland. So there's a connection with Ireland too.
Yeah, with
these people. So I guess you just you find out about one thing, you find out about another one, and then you find a connection, and it's all connected.
Yeah.
Just an impulsion interest.
Is there much more in this area, like here and Guangdong province, sort of south of China? Are there other things that you haven't tapped into yet that are on your radar?
Well, I made a first video about the connections with Ireland, the Nathan Road and O'Brien, Hennessy, McDonald. Really different names. There's a Connacht.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Quick.
But I forgot about Robert Hart.
Yeah.
Who was the leader of the Chinese Imperial Customs Service. He was the people collecting taxes. And the Qing Empire, the Qing dynasty, they employed foreigners to work for them, as was involving foreign fleets.
Yeah.
But he was from Portadown. So, and he employed a lot of Irishmen because jobs for the boys, and he basically he became the head, and then he gave a lot of positions to Irish.
Okay,
so there would have been a lot of Irish in that as well. Now, I'm not a historian.
Yeah.
Like I don't study history. I just do the research online and using online sources. So I hope it's all correct.
Yeah. Okay. So that might be your next one, back to Hong Kong to find out more about Mr. Rich.
Hart Avenue, I believe, is here. Hart Avenue. I covered most of it in my first video. But yeah, I forgot about him. Because it's not an Irish Sandinese, but he would have been Ulster, Scots, his material.
Very good
origin.
And in Shenzhen, other than the channel, what are kind of things that you're doing to enjoy life outside of school? School is hectic, as you said, right? We've got to have things in our free time to relax a little bit. What are some of the things you get up to?
Yeah, well, obviously, when we met, we went to watch the Shenzhen Juniors see.
Yes. Sadly, at the end of the season, but we'll pick it up next season again.
So
it's good cracks.
That's it. So I can't watch my Glentoran. It's my local team in Belfast, but I can't watch them over here. So I decided to watch the local team, support the local Shenzhen Juniors. But as you said, it's the end of the season, so. I guess what else do I do? I joined the running club.
Yes.
So I go, I keep fit, running, hiking. Shenzhen is a great place for outdoor activities. Surrounded by mountains, and it's not as much of an international city as Hong Kong, for example. But there's still a reasonable amount of foreign schools, American schools, British schools. So there's a lot of teachers. So there's a lot of other foreigners living there and expats to go running, meet up. But other than that, I like to try and get out of the city, or get out of at least the built up area.
Yeah.
So go to the parks, out of the sea. Shenzhen, it's got coastline, it's got Damisha, Xiaomisha places. Yesterday I went to a place in Hong Kong, Shui, or Sim. It's called sort of northeastern.
Okay. Kind of beachy, like
It's kind of a beach place, but it sort of reminds you of Bangor, actually. In certain ways. But because I grew up beside the coast, I value proximity to the coast.
Yes.
I grew up 5 minutes from the coast, so I could play by the rocks. So yesterday, I see the place that was similar, obviously not very exactly similar to Bangor.
Reminiscent of Bangor.
Reminiscent, lots of fishing boats, restaurants, cafes, that sort of thing. I heard a few English accents.
Oh yeah, this is the place you're saying.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, no, Hong Kong is cool like that because obviously you've got this part of the city, it's huge, it's built up, it's busy, but it does have its little sort of fishing village or more rural parts as well, not too far away. It's cool.
So yeah, I originally went there because there was a street called Wan King Street. So if you say that fast,
obviously, you got to get that picture. That picture was got.
Oh yeah, sorry, Wan King Path. So yesterday I went to the Wan King Path and to get a photograph.
There you go.
And I discovered lots of beauty and lots of hiking path. And actually, there's a hiking path called MacLeish Trail, which is world famous apparently. Named after a Scottish governor.
There you go.
MacLeish.
Yeah.
And it's, I think it's 100 kilograms. 100 kilometers.
Well, that's long. Yeah, well, I'm guessing it winds around the place, right?
Yeah. So I do want to do that at some point, but I think that's a multi-day hike.
Yes. Okay. We were in Delaney's. I had a pint at Delaney's Irish pub, inverted commas, even though he kind of made fun of us for wearing a Northern Ireland shirt and Donegal shirt. The English guy behind the bar, but anyway, technically it's an Irish bar. You don't drink yourself anymore.
No.
What's your thinking there? I mean, it's sad. We do have that stereotype, sadly, as Irish people, and when you meet someone who doesn't drink. It's becoming more common, but it's still kind of always kind of. It's notable. Sadly, it shouldn't be notable, but it is, right?
Yes, I mean you're right. It is kind of the national stereotype of Ireland. And I would add English, Scottish, and Welsh.
Yeah.
They're just as much degenerates as we are. Although, so I spent many years. I think my first alcoholic drink was when I was 13. Bottle of Old English cider.
Not Buckfast?
Well, I got onto the Buckfast later.
14.
Yeah, but yeah, so, quite common in Northern Ireland. I'm sure, Ireland, Donegal too, and other parts of the UK, it's the same. We like our drink. So it's got me into many situations, hospitals, police cell, like many situations that I would not have otherwise got myself into.
Yeah.
So that aside, living in China, the drinking culture is not the same as it is anywhere else. Even probably in Hong Kong, it's different. Like in China mainland, drinking, going to the pub is not a thing. Like there's only one British pub in the Shenzhen, to my knowledge.
Yeah.
Which we've been.
Yeah, George and
Dragon. My last video, I filmed I had the roast dinner.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So in the George and Dragon, so... I guess working in a training centre, not having weekends off, not having anyone to drink with, and the stress of teaching, and all those things combined, and just wanting to focus on myself and my personal development. Like when you drink, it sort of holds you back from so many things, I think.
Yeah.
So, well, nothing necessarily health related, maybe mental health. But, I haven't dropped that long to sort of have any other health
Yeah.
problems. But obviously, you look at, one of our most famous sons are Northern Ireland, to whatever, to best.
Yeah.
Prolific footballer, best footballer we've ever had. Started for his alcohol. I think it says a lot, isn't it? Like, if you have so much talent, to be wasted on alcohol. I'm not comparing myself to George Best, by the way. But definitely
Well, you both go to Northern Ireland, sure. There you go.
Yeah. I mean, but alcohol, I'll still sit in company of people drinking, but I think it took me a long time to realise that I just don't want to do it anymore. Too many days waking up, and personal relationships maybe have strained because of it. So not one thing in general, but just a multitude of things altogether. It's been a year being sober.
Fair play. Was it hard? Like, what did you just decided that's what I'm just not drinking, or was it something you did sort of publicly? Did you say to people I'm not doing it, or did you just do it?
Because of my situation, because of being in a training centre, there wasn't many social, environments where I had to decline alcohol. So it wasn't that hard at the beginning. I guess now that I'm Monday to Friday, and the social activity involves drinking, then it's harder. But I guess being in China, that doesn't happen as much. Whereas maybe if I was back in Belfast, there's more of an emphasis. And yes, some of my friends back home have said, well, why aren't you drinking? Why? And yeah, you do get a lot of questioning. Whereas, if you say to some Chinese person, why don't you drink? You probably wouldn't ask them that.
Yeah.
If they say, I'm drinking.
They'd say, I don't like it. I don't like having hangovers. And you're like, well, that's a reasonable, that makes sense. Yeah. But we wouldn't say that at home.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was back in Ireland in the summer, met up with a friend in Roscommon. Yeah. Met in New Zealand. And he also was giving up the drink as well. So, whenever we met up in Roscommon, back in the summer, neither of us were drinking, but we were able to do that. But whenever we knew somebody in New Zealand 10 years ago, that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
On the drink almost every day.
Yeah.
Most of the Irish abroad.
Yeah, I'm Irish abroad for sure. Yeah, for sure. But then also, I think at home, drink is just so connected to everything. Everything. There's very little that you do that doesn't involve either at the start of it, the middle of it, the end of it, going to the pub or having a drink. Like funerals, that's the crazy one,
Yes.
Somebody dies and everyone's drinking. It's just so, it permeates. You said the mental health thing. I think that for me that's the big one because sadly Northern Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, it is a problem. Men of our age, what I mean. The suicide rates are crazy. The mental health, depression, and drink is a huge part of it. Drink and drugs, right? But
yes,
drink is a huge part of it. So, yeah, fair play to you. I have a lot of respect for you because I think that is not. I think it's not an easy thing to do because even being overseas, it still is quite a big part of social things that we do.
I mean, growing up, I come from Protestant background, so my family wouldn't have drank that much. In the church. So Protestant funerals, there doesn't tend to be alcohol at it.
Right, okay.
So I guess my family, my mum has never drank in her life. My dad would have had a drink. We would have had a drink, and he's passed on 10 years ago. But so I don't come from a big drinking family. But my friends, I guess it depends who your friends are. But my friends, we were drinking from 14 down in Bangor seafront. Getting people with older IDs or fake IDs to get us alcohol, or drinking by the pubs. Most parties in Ireland that involve drink alcohol. So it's kind of ingrained in the culture. Whereas, being a teacher here, although I teach primary school children, I know people who have children here, and I don't see the influence of alcohol on the youth.
No, I mean that's totally, and even I suppose the way because, you know, when we talk about, I was a wee bit older than a lot of my friends when I started drinking, but still under 18, you know. But when you talk about 13, 14, I mean, now that's the age of kids that I teach. And just, I know that they're not drinking like that. You know what I mean? But I bet they might have a drink like at family occasions, you know, and things like that. Like that's kind of more of a thing here. Like, you know, it's not that they don't drink, it's just they don't, you know, get a 6-pack and disappear off somewhere. You know what I mean? It's a totally different approach, isn't it? You know?
Yeah, it's more controlled.
Yeah.
Whereas I think because I mean, I did have a drink with my dad. You know, sometimes he used to take me to the Legion Hall, Bangor.
Okay.
Go and have a drink together and go to the pub. You know, but I guess for most people, their parents didn't. You know, it's not like France where you might have a glass of wine with your dinner. Sure. It's kind of secret.
Yeah.
So, you know, whenever we were that age, 14, 15, we were going off buying, you know, 2-liter bottles of Old English or White Lightning. I mean, they're drinking Gold Snaps.
Yeah.
Goldschlager? Goldschlager, yes.
Yeah.
Goldschlager. And then MD 2020, Buckfast. Like, you know, and it's just in our culture, so... Yeah.
It's not refined drinking, is it? It's not like,
no.
You know... I went to France as I probably would have been 13 or 14 and like it was an exchange thing. The guy came to Brittany and then I went over to Brittany and they went to a little coffee shop and they were having like the little small beer. It's this. But they were just, it was a social thing. Like this is a completely, they weren't getting hammered. They weren't trying to hide anything. They were just having us 1 or 2 drinks socially. It's just, yeah, I think it is changing. I mean, I was listening to something the other day about people doing sober Christmas. Mm-hmm. And just like that now there's like there's alcohol-free bars. You know, that definitely it's changing and consumption is going way down. But you know, it's going in that direction. Younger people, I think their mindset is different, hopefully.
Yeah, I heard about one in Dublin actually. Capel Street. I think there was an alcohol-free bar, but I'm not sure if it's still going. I don't go to Dublin often, but I just heard about it. And I mean, personally, I don't see the point in alcohol-free beer.
Yeah.
It's not the, you know, it's not the taste I crave. Or maybe if I took one, I might get the taste again and go back to alcohol. So I just abstain. I abstain totally. But you know, I don't begrudge people for having a drink. I'm not like, oh, it's bad. I don't preach to people. I don't. You know, it's personal choice.
Sure.
You know, and I still. Sometimes I long for it. Sometimes I think, oh, I wish I could have a drink. And I just think of the overall picture.
Yeah.
You know,
It's tough.
You know, I have a colleague who likes to drink, and frequently on Monday morning he'll be, you know, very
not at his best.
Not at his best, and I'm, you know, it's still Monday morning. I'm still like going to work after the weekend, but I'm a little bit more sprightly, let's say, than he is.
I'd say that's an understatement.
You know.
Well, listen, I know you're starting your PGC soon, January, yes. And then what's the future? What's the plan? Where do you think? Yeah, you said you might not be teaching forever, but what's the sort of immediate future, and then further on into their distance?
Teaching is my sort of immediate 2 to 3 years plan. You know, so the PGC will help me to hopefully get international school. But also being in Shenzhen, which is the tech capital of China, if not the world, you know, technology products. So I would like to maybe start an export business or start some sort of trading.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my ongoing side project. Nothing concrete at the moment, but watch the space, you know, on the channel as well, you know, and the Corona Nomad, I will update that as time progresses. But other than that, PGC, there's the YouTube channel, obviously. That's always ticking on in the background. And I don't expect that to make me livable revenue, but if that did in the future, then that could be an option.
Yeah.
So I'm not completely committed to China, but China offers the best balance of wages versus cost of living. You know, because I did consider other countries, Spain, Japan, or Korea. But you've lived in Korea, so you'll know that.
Yeah. Cool.
Salary is probably higher, but cost of living?
And I was in my early 20s teaching like English, Hagwons are called, just like language schools basically. The salary was so, but the cost of living, but also the fact that you're in your early 20s and you've never had a salary before.
Right.
You're straight out of university, just any amount of money and you're like, wow, I feel so rich. I can travel and, save a little bit. But yeah, probably international schools, the money's, the package is good, but they're very competitive. But it's a cool country.
Yeah. So, I wouldn't rule out those other Asian countries. I don't think I'm ready to go back to Northern Ireland. Although I do have a house there. I've still got a car there. It sits in my mum's driveway.
Right.
I haven't fully detached from being there. So I still pay my car insurance. So maybe my mum's watching this saying, when will you come back? And so I wouldn't really like going back to Belfast. It's not a terrible place to live. It's a lot quieter pace of life than Shenzhen. That's an understatement.
Yeah.
Other than that, continue to work on this project. The teaching enables you to live abroad. I think you can live a quite decent life abroad. If I went back to Belfast, I don't think I'd continue being a teacher. And I'd go back to what I was doing before, perhaps. Maybe going to start a business, entrepreneurship. So I don't know. I just take it year by year.
Fair enough. You did mention her ma. Is there that kind of Irish mammy pressure, sort of, could you ever come back home and whatever?
I have another brother who lives on the same street as my mum, to the same area.
Yeah.
She is getting on, so yes, I think she knows that I'm always still to traveling, because this isn't my first rodeo. I've been in Australia, New Zealand, Mexico, Thailand. I do prefer living abroad.
Yeah.
If she was to, need some help or something more, then I would be on time to go back. Because at the minute I go back once a year, which it's enough to sort of meet friends and family. I go to hall regularly, but she doesn't put pressure on me to go back. I think she knows that this is my life. This is what I like to do. But at the same time, I haven't put down firm roots in China, and I don't know I'd put down roots in China. Because it's hard to become permanent in China.
Yeah.
So I think China was maybe 5 years, 10 years. I take it year by year.
That's a chunk of time, though. 5 years, 10 years. 10 years, that's a chunk of time. It'd be interesting to see where things are in 10 years.
Yeah, that's it. So I take it year by year. I'm open to possibilities. If the channel takes off, or if exporting online business, if that takes off, then I can relocate anywhere, really. But for now, I think China is the best option. Of course,
Let's end it there, nice and strong. China to finish off with. Yeah. Thank you so much, Mark, for your time.
Yes.
Good. Thanks a million.
More, yes.
And we'll head back to the Laney's maybe, and I'll have a pint possibly.
Yes, that's it. back to the pub. And if you're watching on my channel, thanks for watching. And and more to follow. This is actually Brian interviewing me, but we will do a separate one where I interview foreigners living in China.
That'd be cool. Maybe Georgian Dragon.
Yes, back to the British pub. We couldn't do it in the British pub because we have to do it in the Irish pub. But back to the British pub in Shenzhen. Next video. Watch out. Okay, thanks for watching. It's goodbye from me.
Goodbye for me as well. Right?
Okay, salam. Bye bye.
Right. And thank you very much for listening. Thank you so much. I'll aim to get up the intensity of the episodes now between now and Christmas, fingers crossed. But I appreciate your listening. All the very best.